The immediate future is extremely clear. They'll have a noon press conference in Indianapolis today. They'll say goodbye. It'll be, I guess, a classy send-off. The last 3 months have been a war of words between one of the greatest quarterbacks of his era and his former team, the Indianapolis Colts. Today, I guess, will be the final hurrah, and then he'll start a period of courtship, and we'll see where he'll go. We'll see how healthy he is. We have no idea. This is really, this has happened before in history where a great quarterback has had to go somewhere else.
I mean, it's like the Brett Favre thing. The question is not just about Peyton Manning, but it's really about the future of the Colts. I mean, that is an organization in turmoil, and they're basically throwing out the old entirely and trying to reconstitute itself.
Well, they get to have tough talk because they have the first overall pick in the draft, and if they didn't have the protection of getting Andrew Luck, the outstanding Stanford quarterback, they could probably, be much nicer to Peyton Manning and say maybe want you back or whatever. But they have someone waiting in the wings who's very, very good, and so they can afford to play hardball with Manning, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing today. And so the organization is in turmoil, and there are problems at the top, and they fired the general manager and all that, but the fact they have a great quarterback, which is all you need in the NFL, kind of masks everything that's going on.
And the press conferences this morning, but then more long-term, any idea what this might mean for Manning in the future? Where is he going to go from here?
Well, there's a lot of teams that are going to court him. Seattle is one, Miami is another, Cleveland maybe. He's going to get big money, and it's going to be interesting to see how much he has a neck injury, which sort of ended his season last year and made him miss all of the year, and he's still not fully healthy, and he's going to get big money, and it's unclear how much teams want to see out of his health. Maybe they'll just give him money based on the fact that he's Peyton Manning and he sells tickets and he sells endorsements, but he has to get healthy real fast because that neck injury is pretty serious.
You mentioned the neck injury. I mean, is it worth it for him to keep playing at this point?
Well, that's a question. I think that Dan Marino is one example I had in my story today where he had a neck injury in November and then 2 months later he hung it up. Neck injuries are very, very serious, and if he's had 4 surgeries at this point. And if he thinks that he can continue, and I guess 4 surgeries can make you feel like he can continue, he's going to do it. But I mean, you're always one hit away, one nudge away, even from a very serious long-term injury.
Right. Now let's talk about the Jets.
Okay.
Let's talk about.
Well, let me just say, you can watch the press conference live on WSJ.com today. So go ahead. I'll let you take it.
Let's talk about the Jets. Are the Jets crazy enough? Given the failed Brett Favre experiment, is Woody Johnson desperate enough that they would even consider bringing him in? I know I was reading the Post this morning. There's a little carrying on. There's the draft Peyton kind of movement. Do you think the Jets were going to throw their hat in the ring when it comes to him?
Yes, I do. I think they'll at least engage in discussion, see where he's at. Maybe Peyton wants to play in the same city as his brother, maybe Eli, and maybe he'll take a discount. I think that Mark Sanchez, they're starting to see, is not the long-term answer. I think that he, if they had a A- quarterback last year, they could have won the Super Bowl. Instead, they had probably a C+. And so they're always looking to upgrade. And if Manning is an upgrade, and who knows, Sanchez may not be a downgrade from an unhealthy Peyton Manning. I mean, if Manning can't throw the ball, Sanchez looks a lot better than Manning.
All right. What about the money? Let's talk raw numbers here. Why are they giving up Peyton at this stage? It's a lot of money this guy wants.
Right. Well, as I wrote today, nostalgia and gaudy numbers and history, that doesn't mean much when a $28 million bonus is due. And that's what was due later this week. And so that's what they had to get rid of. And so, they'll get Andrew Luck for, $3 or $4 million per year after that. And so Manning will command probably $17 or $18 million in his next contract. And, again, it's going to be interesting to see how many teams are willing to give up that much money for a guy who we don't know what he even looks like. Because it comes out of the salary cap,
right? The teams have to deal with the salary cap. So when you give a Peyton Manning $18 million, that has to come out of the other players in one form or another.
And unlike the NBA has a system where you're able to keep your long-term, long-tenured players. It's called the Larry Bird rule for obvious reasons, because the Celtics kept Larry Bird under this provision. And, the NFL doesn't have that. It's raw numbers. It's very cutthroat. You can't keep your long-tenured guys out of nostalgia like you can in the NBA. And so, this tends to happen quite a bit, actually, that you get to be 34, 35, and you're cut.